It is so easy for us to feel alone and scared when our children are unwell. We naturally isolate ourselves when our babies are covered in red, oozing rashes, or our toddlers experience speech delays, or our children melt down with violent behavioral issues because we feel embarrassed and ashamed that our children are suffering. The truth, though, is that none of us are alone on this journey. So many other mamas have walked the same path, been brushed under the rug by professional after professional, and we've all tried what feels like everything. Today, we have a mama joining us to share her son's battle and her healing journey. And oh, my friend, you are going to be so inspired. Welcome to the podcast, Brooke. I am so happy to have you here, and I know our audience is going to be so greatly impacted and inspired by your story. So can we just start by getting to know you, and maybe you can just introduce yourself, who you are.
Sure.
If you want to share your Instagram handle, you're more than welcome to. If you want to keep that private, I completely respect that. But whatever about you that you want to share, we would all love to get to know you.
My name is Brooke. I am 24 years old. I've been married to my husband for almost 4 years. We are a military family, so we are everywhere. We're actually in the middle of possibly moving a little bit to the East Coast. Hopefully, that's where we want to go. We have a son. His name's Easton. He's going to be 2 in April, and then we're also expecting another baby very soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm not really sure how we're going to manage 2, but I don't think God would give me more than I can't handle, so I'm really excited to see how it's all going to unfold. Let's see here. I found you on Instagram. I think it was like under like a tag. It's like gut health, because I had suspicions of Easton's gut kind of being off, and then I found your page and I had followed you and I had seen like all the bunch of different stories, and I think I watched a few of your podcasts, and that's kind of what led me to take the chance and take the leap of doing the children's gut rebalance. And I also did the skincare line and everything, and then I was like, let's just try it. So
will you tell us a little bit about your pregnancy, your postpartum, what your son's, what symptoms he developed, and kind of just like the timeline of his imbalance and his journey?
Sure. So I spontaneously went into labor at 35 weeks. I had him early. I had him that next day. I was 35 and 2. They did go ahead and give me the antibiotic because I didn't get tested for, I don't know what it's called.
Probably maybe Group B strep.
Yes, this. And I didn't get tested for that, so they just went ahead and gave me that antibiotic just in case. And then obviously I had to get the shot to develop his lungs quicker. So he was already born with a bunch of things already put in his system. And then he was in the NICU for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then we brought him home, super colicky. Like, they were like, it's your breast milk. He's just not it's not settling right with him. Like, you're going to have to, follow an alternative. And I was heartbroken because I was like, this is my first baby. All I've ever wanted, as a woman is to, like, nurture and feed. And, like, that's just something, like, I don't know, my mom did it. So I was like, I can do it. So I felt like hearing those words, it kind of, like, I was like, wow. I mean, I would do absolutely anything in the world for my son. So, of course, I'll stop, Well, then he was colic. His diapers were crazy, like a bunch of different colors. They smelled so bad. When my mom came to visit, because we live about 10 hours away, so when everyone started to come and visit, they were like witnessing like all these issues. He was colicky, crying. He could not be held. He didn't, he was not, if he wasn't crying, he was sleeping. So I was like, that's a red flag. So I like looked into my diet. I was like, okay, maybe it's dairy, maybe it's, something along those lines.
So did you stop breastfeeding then?
I stopped breastfeeding at 4.5 months. I pushed until I could no longer win the argument with his pediatrician.
Yeah. Well, and this is something that's really, really common. So you started formula, but of course his symptoms didn't change.
Yep. So when I started formula, that's when, it was probably like a month-ish. It was probably like 4.5, 5 months in. I had stopped at 4 months, 4.5. So yeah, about a month into formula, he started getting the rosy cheeks, the dry patches and stuff. And I brought it up to his pediatrician, and she was like, this is normal. He's going from your milk to a factory-made, milk of some sort. And she's like, just put some lotion on him. So I did, and then it did not get better. It got worse. And I was like, something's wrong. So then he started developing thrush. I think he had thrush like 4 or 5 times before he was even 1. His colic got so bad, they were like, you need to find anti-colic bottles, and you need to give him all these stomach drops, and you need to find a good probiotic. And I was like, I don't know how. Like, you guys are throwing all this stuff at me. Like, I just stopped breastfeeding. I'm 8 or 16 weeks out of just having a baby. This is my first baby. I'm 10 hours from home. I have nobody. Thank gosh for my lactation consultant. She is very homestead, set in her ways. She's just absolutely amazing. She was like, Brooke, you do not have to stop breastfeeding. She's like, there is so many other opportunities and other different things that you can do to make him thrive. And I just felt so defeated. I was like, I have to stop. Like, I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Well, then it didn't get any better. And then so he started getting his redness, and he was just cranky. And then it started to, like, his diapers started to become more of, like, chemical, like sulfur is what it started to smell like. And I was like, what in the world? And then they were like, you need to give him enemas. And I was like, he's not even a year old. I can't be doing
smell. It's like, it's a smell that's really hard to explain, but it's like acidic, sour, sulfury. Like
I will definitely never forget.
Pungent that it is even so many. I mean, my son just turned 10, and that smell is burned in my nose.
Same.
And so, like, if a listener can take one thing away from this, like, if your baby's diaper has that pungent smell, that is a huge red flag of a gut imbalance.
Yep. And to this day, I still, every time, he goes to the bathroom or, like, I change him, I'm, like, so, like, I don't know, I'm more aware, like, am I going to smell this? Like, and I haven't. Since July when I started your probiotic and everything, like, everything is just, like, I think it literally took 5 days before I seen improvement. I think I sent you some pictures, and I was like, look at this. Like, this is absolutely insane. And my husband's like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. I was like, I know, like, I cannot even believe it. To this day, I'm like, wow.
Well, I feel like skin symptoms are like, we can just visually see them. And so we're able to be like, oh my gosh, something is really wrong, or, oh wow, look at this improvement, because we can see it. But a lot of times what we miss is a lot of people don't have skin symptoms, but that's just what's happening on the inside of their body. And so while eczema and those rashes are, like, so alarming, a lot of times they're such a gift, because we get to visually, it's such a visual invitation to heal.
Your body gives you so many signs and symptoms, like, hey, something's wrong with me. And, if you can't visually see them, like, you're going to be like, oh, I just drank too much coffee, or I'm having too much caffeine, or, something like that. No, like, your body's literally asking you for help. And it got so bad to the point that, I mean, it took him 4, 5, 6 months for his body to be like, yep, this is our limit. We're about to start showing you, like, we have nothing else more to give you, sign-wise.
Yeah. We're going to move beyond colic and sour diapers and
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if he had restless sleep, but
oh my goodness, yes. He didn't sleep for more than like an hour or two at a time, and it was brutal for me because Kobe, my husband, he's in the military, and at the time they only got 4 weeks off. Well, since he spent the first 2.5, 3 weeks in the NICU, he was only home with me for a week before he had to go back to work.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so it was like me, and he tried to help, but like I'd rather one be tired than both. So I was like, you know what, just, it's fine. Like, you can't breastfeed him, so I will just try to, make it work. And then, oh my gosh, it was just something I never want to relive again. The whole first 2 years of his life have just been such a challenge, but.
So at first his symptoms were inside his body. And then when he was, how old do you think he was when it started moving externally?
So about September. He was born in April, May, June, July, August, September. About 6 months.
Okay.
Yep, it took about 6 months. And then we went to the dermatologist, and they prescribed like 0.05% triamcinolone. It's a steroid cream. And he said apply it 3 to 4 times a day for however long it is there. Well, it was there for a while. We saw some improvement, but the minute we stopped, it's like his body was like, no, I need that. So like I'd put it back on and I'd be like, okay, like he's good now. Like he looks good. So then we'd stop, and then his body would go back again. Like I need that. Well, it got to the point that it was like we were applying for weeks and weeks, and then months, and then months, and then I had actually went home to our home state, and Christmas Eve we had to rush him to the emergency room because his face got so swollen. His body was so red. It was just, there was so much ooze out of his cheeks and his arms, and oh my gosh, his back. It was just, well, I had pulled the steroids. I was like, this is not right. So his body had gone through I assume a withdrawal. And I had explained, to the ER doctor, and she was like, no, you should have never taken him off these. So then they prescribed him like an oral steroid, which was like prednisone. And every time I'd give him that, he would get so sick. So sick. And I'm like, okay, he can't take this anymore. And no one would listen to me. Well, then we had come back to where we're stationed. And we are, quote unquote, seen by the best hospital on the east side. But no. We got ignored and pushed out the room so fast every single time. I would be like, no, something like that doesn't work. Well, then I took one more chance. I was like, okay, I'll try it. And she said that it was for like hay fever. And so I applied it, and it did the same exact thing. But this time I was like, no, we're done. February 3rd marked 1 year that I had ever, since I have applied a steroid on him.
Wow.
And it's February 8th of 2024?
The 9th, yep.
Yep. And I still have not, no.
Wow.
But it was a long journey. Mm-hmm.
I recently recorded an episode with a mama who she experienced medical kidnapping because she didn't want
Refused.
to. She didn't like these Band-Aids. That's why they work, right? You put on a Band-Aid and it works while the Band-Aid is there. But when you remove the Band-Aid, the symptoms come right back because the body isn't healed. And it's really unfortunate that our system is designed to treat and not heal. And but as you're talking, like this whole medical kidnapping is kind of new to my awareness. And as you're talking about like refusing these treatments, my mind is just triggered back to her story and like how wildly lucky we are, because I was the exact same way. I took my child to 17 healthcare professionals, and every single one was like, you've got to use steroid creams and it just didn't feel right, or you've got to stop breastfeeding. The same exact story. And I was bold enough to say, no, that's not going to fix it. And what I learned in her story is, that's like bold of me. I should have just been like, okay. And then gone home and told my husband, no, we're not going to do that.
Well, it caused, so once I got to the point of saying no, my husband was like, we have to. So it caused like a wall between us, and I was like, no. And he was like, we're doing that. Like, so it caused a lot of problems, not just with like healthcare in between me. It was, within my own home. So
Absolutely.
It was, I just
Well,
cannot.
and I hear this all the time, like this marital disruption, because I don't know if this is like, it feels really common. I hear this a lot where like our male partners are very conditioned to follow the system, and professionals know best. And we as moms, like when we become moms, we are gifted this powerful voice inside of us that's like, hell no. Yeah. And it is really hard, especially new in parenting, for our partners to understand the power of this voice. And as time goes on, so many of us are lucky enough for our partners to see and like witness the healing of when we are like, okay, I'm going to lead this. I'm going to heal my child. And our partners are able to witness that. They're like, oh, okay. Like, I trust you. But when you are new in parenting and in this journey together, it is so hard. There were so many times where my husband was just like, you just have to do what they're saying. They are professionals. They know. You don't know. Yeah. And inside, like my gut was just screaming at me, like, you cannot do that. It is not right. And so when, as a mom, you are not only scared for what's wrong with your child that you don't understand, but you're battling a system, and then your partner. And a lot of times for people, it's their extended family, when our families see our children covered in a rash or experiencing this, and they don't have the awareness of, what real healing is available. We are shamed and guilted for not following that.
I can't tell you how many times I have been the topic of a conversation. Like, have you seen her son? Oh my gosh. And she's refusing all these medical, because I was like, we are not doing this. I'd share updates and stuff of his journey, and I'd be like, we're not doing that. And we had our doctors were like, we will call Children Protective Services if you refuse. And I was like, do it. Do it. It got to the point that I was like, I don't care. Because even though I was refusing, and he looked like and felt like that, I knew that we were on the path of healing, because I would see small changes every single day. I'd see he was sleeping through the night. Like, it got to the point that we would apply steroids on him, and then we'd have to put pajamas on him. And we could feel his body heat through his pajamas. We could see the pus from his patches. Like, we would have to pry it off of his body. Same with his sheets, his like bath times. It's so traumatizing to even like think about, just to like remember those. Like, I filmed myself like every day, like a few times a day, like talking about like what we did today, how he was doing, what he looked like, how I felt. And like, I haven't even looked back at those videos, because like, I just don't even think, even now we're like almost a year out, that I can quite literally go through that. And I talked to my therapist about it. I'm in therapy because like, it's so bad. Like, it was just, I don't know. It was just super traumatizing for me, but
I know. So when did he start healing? When did, like, what was that process for you? How did you learn how to heal his body, or what he needed, or what to do?
So I had looked up like topical steroid withdrawal symptoms and stuff like that. So then I had joined a few like natural healing eczema, like naturally. There's a few Facebook groups. I had joined them. I had joined the TSW groups. I had joined the eczema with children's eczema groups. Like, I had joined all these groups. He wasn't sleeping, so I would just stay up and research. That's all I did. Seriously, at this point, I feel like I was like I was like a pharmacy person. Like, I just knew like what not to use on him, what was fine to use on him. Like, I was just like, wow, I did better with this than I did in school.
I laugh right now because this was literally me. And so I, again, am just so grateful to be having this conversation because I remember being in the thick of it and I didn't know what was wrong. And surely, like, you know, so my journey was 10 years ago and I wasn't really I didn't use Instagram. I didn't use social media. I was completely alone. I had no idea that anybody else ever experienced anything like this. And surely it was me. I was doing something wrong, or I had done something wrong in pregnancy, or I had caused this. And even with social media and, you know, these different communities, it can be so isolating and it can feel so lonely. And like, you are the problem and you or your child are the only one going through this. But everything that you are saying, I experienced. I spent hundreds of hours Googling and Googling. And I would find something like, okay, Candida, maybe this is Candida. And I'd bring it up to the pediatrician and they'd be like, that's not a thing. Everybody has Candida. Or like anything that I learned, I was immediately shut down. And so, like, had I been listened to 2 years before we finally learned how to heal our son, 2 years of my son struggling would have been saved.
Yep, same. Yes.
Okay, so you were part of all of these groups. And so your awareness was broadening. You were becoming an absolute expert.
Yes, literally. And I had gotten into the rabbit hole, like, deep. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. If the pharmaceutical way is not working, why not try, you know, earth? Like, that's literally. And my grandma, she was very crunchy, like, beyond. No processed, nothing. She canned every little thing. Their meat was brought in from my grandpa, just everything that you would think, like, when you think of the old ways, that's how it was. And she died in 2021, and she was that way until she died. So It was like, I had a little bit of, like, guidance from, like, just growing up and, like, going to her house on the weekends and, like, stuff like that. So I kind of knew, like, earth was, the way to go, like natural remedies and stuff like that. So I was aware of those, but I had just been, like, sheltered from Easton's journey and everything. Like, they were like, no, this needs to happen. So finally, once I cracked that open and I was like, I need to leave this era here. I had I found your Instagram and I had found just a bunch of other things like food is medicine and stuff like that. I was like, I need to change his diet. I was in, maybe he, an overgrowth. And just like you, I was like, maybe it is like a yeast overgrowth in his gut. Like, I was like, anything's possible. So I'd bring it up to his pediatrician and she was like, no, but if you think so, I'll go ahead and write a prescription for you. And I was like, I don't want a prescription. So I had just taken the leap. I had done still to this day, we use your skin, had the soap, the rose hip oil, the gel, everything. I just was like, we have to do it. And Kobe's like, it's expensive. I was like, nothing is more expensive than him being healthy. So just knowing that he's going to be healed one day is enough for me. Like, I don't care how much it's going to cost me.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, like, we have to do it. And so we did it, and his changes were very...
So you purchased the Gut Rebalance Kit and the skincare kit?
Mm-hmm.
And how old was he when you got these? Do you remember?
April, May, June, July. 15 months old.
Okay.
Yep. 15 months old, and so about day 5, I noticed, his diapers were very scary to me. I had seen things in there, and I was like, what's that? And it was a parasite. And I was like, there's no freaking way. And I told Kobe, I was like, there's worms in his diaper. He was like, no, 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 no. And I was like, no, I'm serious. So I like looked at your page and I was like, is this normal? And I had seen, you know, your other post, and I was like, oh my gosh. And we have not seen any of them like now. We don't see them now. But at the first, it scared me. It startled me a lot. I was like, this is terrifying. Like, this is what's inside of his body. And then we seen the redness go down on his cheeks and his body and his back. He wasn't as itchy because for some reason his defense mechanism was like, okay, so when we'd go wake him up in his crib in the morning, he would immediately like scratch his arms. He'd like rub it against the bars and his sheets, and like he'd rub his face. Well, that slowly started to stop. And I was like, okay, maybe he's not as itchy. Well, then his body temperature started to regulate better. He wasn't so hot all the time. I'm not even kidding you. I wish you could have felt his back. It literally felt like hundreds of degrees because of this. His body was just like withdrawing so bad. And we finally did get a, what's the word for that? Diagnosed. He did go through topical steroid withdrawal. They did diagnose him with that.
Wow.
Yep. And it took a lot of, crying. A lot of name calling and everything, like, you know, but finally we did. And I was like, thank you. Like, thank you. That's all I needed to hear. And I was like, and we have gone through 3 before everything, before the healing journey and everything. We had went through 3 dermatologists.
Wow.
Yeah. 3 of them. And we needed a referral for every single one. 3 different towns. Yeah. We have a new pediatrician, like everything. I was just like, you know what? I want everything new. I want somebody that's going to understand me, that's going to understand his journey, that's going to understand my beliefs, what we've been through, be an open book, because I'm not your typical, you know, first time mom. And because I was so blinded, and they tricked first time moms because you want to be the best mom ever. You want to do everything right by the book. You compare your children to a book, and if your child doesn't meet those needs, health-wise, growth-wise, developmental-wise, you're not doing anything right. That's what they make you feel like. And I'm so happy I'm past that, because it haunted me. I was like, he's not meeting milestones. He's not talking, like he's not babbling like he should be. 15 months old, he was making noises, but you know, he should be saying mama, dada, all these things. Like, everything was just not it. Well, now he's like a whole completely different kid.
Well, speech delays, so my son also experienced this, and it's one of the most, like, I feel like easily disassociated symptoms of imbalance. And you know, your child could have like regular digestion, healthy skin. A lot of people's imbalances are just different. A lot of people experience many symptoms, all the symptoms we've talked about my son had, but a lot of children only experience speech delays, and the connection between their speech and their gut is so sadly our system does not recognize that. But okay, so I want to talk about that more, because what I saw in my son was absolutely profound, and I did not expect his speech to like develop so quickly after we started rebalancing his gut. So what was that like for your son?
So he would only say like mama when he was like crying, like, because that was kind of his like, he couldn't say or do anything else. So mama, that was like his like, mom, I need you, like come get me. So that was really all he could say. And then he started talking more, saying like up, down in August, September of last year.
Okay.
So we had been on the Gut Rebalance since July. Yeah. June, July. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
So it took about a month, 2 months for it to kind of all just kind of, well, now he's been on it for quite some time, and he's now no longer, they're questioning, like, if when he hits 2 years old, if he's not meeting these requirements, we're going to go ahead and evaluate him for autism. Well, now that's no longer a thing because he's saying all these words and his like movements and like everything is just where it's, you know, where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was not a night and day thing, but it did not take long either. Like a month, I'll take that over a year,
Wow.
2 years of speech developmental classes and stuff like that. So, yep, everything just kind of unfolded probably like by like September. He was just a whole different kid.
I remember seeing your pictures of like his skin before and after, and I feel like his healing is really remarkable because a lot of times skin tends to be the symptom that takes the longest to heal.
Yes.
Like a lot of moms report back like, okay, they're not constipated, they're pooping really well, or they don't have chronic diarrhea. They're like their digestion heals first, and then it tends to be like sleep and mood and development. And a lot of times skin is one of the last symptoms to heal, but his skin really healed quickly.
I think it's because when I made the change, I made everything the change. We cut out dairy, gluten, processed sugar, ketchup, every little thing we did not welcome into our home. We would go out to restaurants, we would make sure that there were alternatives that met his needs. And I really do think that making the diet changes is what sped up the process. Like for us anyways.
I appreciate you saying this so much because a lot of times, like I always want to be really transparent that supplements, it's only part of the healing.
Yeah.
Like real, true healing from the inside, it takes commitment. And this is why I give you free access to my course when you purchase the Rebalance Kit, is because there's the whole food component that is equally important. And when you really, really commit to the whole thing together, the entire healing, the food side, the, you know, toxins in your home, the supplements, that's when the healing, it's like wildfire.
Yeah. And that's back to the whole like food is medicine type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's like me and my husband now, like our pantry, like there's snacks in there, but they're like the alternative snacks.
Yeah.
We, you know, they told us, well, maybe it's red meat. Maybe it's, you know, these things. And I was like, no, he just needs, like his gut is screaming for help.
Yeah.
We like our friends hate having that conversation of food with us because we're not like that annoying, but like we will educate you. Like we will sit here and be like, you know, like this isn't what you want in your kitchen. You want this instead. Like, and food is just something that we have just kind of, it took us to figure out. I mean, your cookbook helped, your do's and don'ts helped, obviously. And when we saw changes in Easton, we were like, okay, well, we feel the same way. Granted, we don't look like he does. We feel the same exact way. So when we started implementing those things into our everyday life and our diet as well, we started feeling better. And my husband, his thing is smoothies. So like he just, the amount, if you compare a smoothie to a year ago to now, his was like juice and like banana and strawberries. Now it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. It's just crazy, and it's good. Like it's so healthy for you. He feels so refreshed. He takes life and health and everything is just so, we just don't take it for granted anymore because we've seen it being stolen from us every single day. So
well,
between the
this
food,
is yes,
yeah,
this is exactly like the whole healing journey, right? Is a lot of times we find ourselves in these situations for our children, and our whole life is like completely ripped out from under us, and including our marriage, as we talked about. And then when you get to witness that healing in your child and you implement it as a whole family, and then you're suddenly connected on like in ways that you could have never imagined. And this is like the beauty of healing. And so like whether you're here for yourself or your child, like if you embody the healing, it's going to transform your life in ways that you could have never imagined. And so the same was true for me and my husband. Like we saw the healing in our son, and so we implemented everything, and it completely changed us as humans, individuals, and our relationship. And I'm so happy for you that you guys get to experience that.
I hate that it took the journey that we had to go on the journey that we did to be where we are now, but I am grateful for it because, you know, we help others too. Like our family knows, like they have a question, they can come to us. Like, and I can't even tell you how many messages I've gotten from like friends, from people that I haven't talked to in years that are like, what did you do to help your son? Because my example son has eczema, his diapers are strange, he's colicky, and I would just be like, look, this is what you need to do. I'd break it down for them. I would suggest, you know, your website. I said, take a look. Yes, it's expensive, but I will tell you right now, it is life-changing, and you will not regret spending a penny. I said, it is life-changing. I said, do it now before, you know, you get wrapped up in the whole steroids. You need to stop breastfeeding. You need to stop doing these things. You need to do this instead. I said, no, I was like, you need to follow like what I'm saying. I said, I have been here firsthand. I'm willing to help you. I will literally hold your hand through it all. I will be your support, everything. And I cannot tell you how many friends I have made from people I don't even have never met in the world. And one specific that she does she does the gut rebalance. Her name is Liz. I'm not going to go into detail or anything like that. Just keep it, you know, private. But her son is the same age as Easton, and his story is so similar. So similar.
Wow.
And we are like best friends. Like we text at least once a day, updates on the boys. And we talk about meeting sometime, like traveling to see each other. It's just the journeys that you go through in life. Like you're like, why does this happen to me? Like my life's hell right now. But there's like, it's just, I could not change it any other way, honestly.
Well, I mean, we were the same way. Sometimes we have to go on these really hard journeys to get to exactly where we're supposed to be. And both of us going on our really, really hard journey with our sons has us here where we are now able to share real healing with others and connect with others. And as it turns out, there are millions and millions of children and mothers and families going through this exact same thing. And our system is failing us, and we can do better, and we do better by showing up like this. And so you being here and sharing your story and continuing to share the healing is so powerful. And I believe is part of my purpose, part of your purpose, part of all of our purpose of why we've gone through this is to not only heal our own homes, but to share it and empower others. And so I'm so appreciative of you being vulnerable and sharing your experience.
Yes, that's something like, because I used to be so hush-hush, like it was embarrassing. Like, yes, my son looks like that. Yes, I'm doing everything I can. No, nothing's working. Like, it was embarrassing because, you know, like I said earlier, we were the topic of conversations, and it's hurtful. But when, you know, people think we're crazy because we do things a different route than what is suggested. But then when they start seeing, you know, the changes and everything, and it's like, we're actually being healed rather than just put a Band-Aid on it. We'll deal with it in 6 months type of thing.
Yeah.
It is life-changing. The turmoil that we've had to go through obviously was rough, traumatizing. Like, there's nothing that can experience, like, I can describe the experience that we had to go through. But I share on all my platforms, like, just the multiple different, like, natural things. Like, I don't know, it's just changed me as an individual, because I remember thinking, Grandma, you're crazy. Just take the ibuprofen. Like, you know, just but now, like, even though I've seen it being used in my grandma, she would do things so different, but I'd be like, oh, I just pop 2 pills and I'm fine. But then, like, no. Um, just it just really does change your life. Like your marriage, me and Kobe have been through so much. And we're still in the process of healing our marriage. Like it was a lot to see our son, because he was our rainbow baby. We had lost a few prior to him. So like getting him was like the gift, like that we prayed for. So seeing something that we had, wanted so bad for so long, have to go through all these things, and then it started affecting us as individuals. Because like to me, I felt like no one was listening to me. I felt alone, very isolated, and I just felt like I was failing as a mom. Well, it caused me to not necessarily resent Kobe, because he wasn't on the same. I mean, he was feeling the same things I was, but he's very like, I'm going to keep my emotions to myself until I'm ready to talk about it, till I know 100% and stuff like that. And I'm not. I'm very like spitfire. I'm like, I'm upset about this because of this. Like I was very, but then like I started to close myself off a little bit, and I wasn't who I was, because this was affecting me so bad. And then it was the, I knew in the back of my mind, he was like saying, I just wish she would just do what the doctors are saying. So that would piss me off. So, like that would cause a lot of issues. And I'd be like, you're not listening to me. I feel ignored by my own husband. Like, so it would cause a lot of issues. And of course we're still rebuilding that. And, the journey and everything and the healing and stuff has really changed his thought process on everything and whatnot. But yeah, I did feel crazy there for a while.
Absolutely.
I felt absolutely insane.
Now, I have a question about your current pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been tested for Group B strep this pregnancy?
No.
Mm-mm. So how far into, when are you due? Do you know?
I'm 28 weeks. 28 weeks.
Okay.
28. Yep. I think they do it around like what, 30-ish?
Sure. So if Group B strep comes back positive, you can rebalance your gut. And like so many women have shared their test going from positive to negative. And also, I don't know, do you guys still use Cleanse and Nourish?
Yes.
Do you take it?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for you. You're going to have to share with me when you get tested.
My results because
okay. Yes, please do. And I will like follow up on this on another episode, but I am very confident that you're going to be negative.
Yeah, I ended up being negative for Easton, but I was borderline.
Really interesting.
Mm-hmm. So they're like, well, we wouldn't have given it to you anyways, but we obviously did because we didn't know. But they were like, we just want you to know you were borderline. I was like, okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
But
well, so amazing, and I am in awe of you. And there's really you talked about like being embarrassed, and I know that like something that I think about when I see your pictures is, wow, you did something that I wish so badly I had done. I was so embarrassed is such a hard word to use, but like maybe ashamed too. Yeah. Like I really blamed myself, and I have these big pockets of time where I don't have pictures of my son because I couldn't accept it enough to even photograph him, which sounds so horrible to say, but I don't have documentation of that time. And so a lot of the pictures that I share, so we went through this with our second child, and then a couple of years later, we went through it with our fourth child because I didn't connect the dots. I didn't continue the journey. I closed that door because our experience was so hard. And I didn't know that my gut was important through pregnancy, or that I had passed it on.
Yep.
And so when my fourth child was 4 months old, like so many pictures that I share, it's my fourth child. It's not my second child. And we were able to I was like, oh my gosh, it's got to be the same thing. And I was able to like catch it really early, and we healed his body really quickly. But I love seeing the pictures of your son, because something that I feel like I definitely missed in my son's experience was I was so consumed in fear
Yeah.
and trying to figure out how to heal him. I forgot to capture the moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is absolutely something that burdens my heart now.
I was definitely embarrassed at first. I would do absolutely anything to hide it. Like if he had a good skin day, that's the days I'd take pictures and post them. But then it kind of got to the point where I was like, no. Like this is who he is. This is his journey. I'm tired of hiding what we're going through because like I said, it was lonely. So when I started sharing his journey and everything, like we were getting, granted, we were getting the side eyes, but we were also getting people out of the trenches, like out of the bushes that were like, I'm here for you. I want to read your story. Like I want to understand. I'm interested. And even my husband was like, I don't want to take him out. I don't want to do this. So like we stayed in the house a lot. And that's another thing. I was telling my friend Liz, she also feels the same exact way. She's like, I hate the way people look at me. I hate the way that they make me feel. I hate the side remarks. I'm like, screw them.
Yeah.
They don't know what it's like to live the life that we have lived. They don't know a single thing. They think, oh, just put some lotion on him. Believe me, if lotion was the problem, it would have been fixed at the beginning. I can't tell you how many people would jump into my messenger and be like, have you tried this lotion? I'm like, yep, tried it all. I've done it all.
And so that's definitely like something that happens when we are vulnerable and we share our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
We open the door for all
Yeah.
messages, positive and negative. But I think that the the beauty of it is we can create community,
Yeah.
and we never want to normalize this because it is
Yeah.
not normal, but healing is possible. And so normalizing healing, in order to do that, we have to share our journeys. And so I'm the same way. A lot of times I will get messages like, how can you monetize your son being so unwell?
Yeah.
I'm not monetizing my son being unwell. I'm sharing healing.
Yeah.
And and so it's
But it
just
is possible. Like, because they tell you, like, there is no cure for eczema.
Mhm.
Well, there's a root cause. So, yes, there is a cure.
Yeah.
And, Easton, he is the perfect example, perfect reason to keep going because there for a while I was like, this is never going to end. Never going to end. And now that we are completely out of that, we still do things to avoid to keep everything balanced. We still do those things every single day. But now I'm like, wow, I wish I would not have listened to all these people. Like here I am, so we survived. It's just crazy. And I have no embarrassment anymore. I am like, please ask me questions. How can I help you? Like, I'm very like, no, like you're not a burden to me.
Yeah.
Message me, like, and I hope that I'm helpful to others. They say that I am and whatnot, and they inspire, like, how strong I am as a mother and stuff. And like, of course, I love hearing that, but it's like, I want to help you. Like, I wish that I could come up with something like, how you came up with all this only organic stuff. Like, I want to do something like that so, so bad. But, maybe my time will come that I
Yeah.
can, come up with something like that. But this is what worked for us. And it literally saved my son's life, my life. Like, his white blood count levels were always so high.
Yeah. I know. Isn't it? It's scary to think about. Like, my eyes are welling with tears with you, thinking about like what could have happened, because I know I saw it in my son. If I didn't heal his body, something really, his body was fighting so hard that something really bad was coming.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he would have become autistic, if he would have developed autoimmune disease or cancer,
Yep.
or I knew that if I did not heal his body, we were on the fast track of being there.
Yep.
And I can see it so vividly. I would have been divorced. I would have been a single mom to a child that was dying.
Yep. And like,
And
I just, it just haunts you, honestly.
yeah. And that we get to be here on the other side is absolutely beautiful. And I'm so grateful to be here with you.
Me too, because I honestly never thought I'd be here. Like, thinking back, I was like, I'm never gonna be out of it. Because it's so long. Every day felt like a replay, constant replay. Like, it was like, what am I living for? What's he living for? Like, every day he's miserable. Like, ugh.
So can we talk about what your gut health protocol, what you guys do today? What are you like? How are you maintaining? What are you doing? Is he still like doing rebalance kits, or is he in the maintenance? What does this look like for you? Because I know a lot of people come to ōnlē and they're like, well, this freaks me out. Am I never going to be able to eat these foods again? Or am I going to have to take these supplements forever? And my response is always, we don't have to figure out forever right now. Heal the body and then learn what your body needs or what your child's bodies needs, because everybody is different. And, for me and my family, we have just learned that strictly avoiding the foods that feed bad bacteria, yeast, fungus, mold, parasites, when we avoid those foods, we feel our best, and that's worth it. If we feel good, that means our bodies are healthy on the inside. And after living in survival mode, there is nothing worth it for me and my family to compromise our health. And so we gladly avoid those foods, but that's not always practical for everybody. That's okay. And so I love hearing how other people do it, how you maintain your gut balance. And then really quick, the other part is the supplements. My family does take the supplements every day because, again, we feel good. And yes, they are absolutely an investment. It is really, really costly to be a small business and to create the best quality supplements. But the amount of money that we save by
not going to the doctor,
of not having, we homeschool and we have not been sick in so long. We have not missed a day of our school or of our activities, or, I am able to show up to my business because I nurture my body. And so me investing in myself, and you might be saying, well, you own the business, it's free to you. It is absolutely not free to
very well. Yes. And my family's business owners, I know all about that.
And so investing in myself intentionally, preventatively now is absolutely what we do. And I will talk about this all day, every day. And I'm not afraid to talk about it because it makes our life really amazing. But so many people up front are really intimidated. And I just, I feel like it's really powerful to hear what you guys do and how it impacts your day-to-day life now, and your thoughts on this.
So, how we, stay, put about it, like how we stay strong is our diet, honestly, what we have in the fridge. Me and Kobe are not gluten-free because we just can't get past the taste of it. It's just not something that I can't do it. But with Easton, everything that is not gluten-free, sugar, wheat, processed food is not welcome. Like, that's just something that we have noticed within our own experiences. It makes us feel like trash. Like, there's not a single thing that you can do differently that doesn't make us feel like that. So processed food is just a no-go. Everything is in moderation when it comes to Easton's diet. Like, he eats a lot of fruits and vegetables. a lot of meats. A lot of his snacks are gluten-free still, just because I can sometimes give him something not gluten-free. And it's not that I'm super, super strict about it like I was in the beginning, like I said, in moderation. But it just works for us. It's a little bit more pricier, but knowing that, like, this is the better alternative, I'm paying $2 more, so I know that he's not going to feel like crap. Because I can tell, like, when we go out to, like, a friend's house and, like, their kids are obviously not on the same diet as, like, Easton is, he does kind of get a little bit bloaty. He has some stomach cramps, and I think that's just because his body is still learning how to process everything because of all the changes that have happened so quickly. But we just do everything in moderation, lots of fruits and vegetables, meat, and he is an amazing eater. He was not so much before, we did everything. We tried our best, but it was just nearly impossible. Everything was literally nearly impossible. So now he's an amazing eater. He loves the gluten-free chicken nuggets, the typical toddler foods and stuff like that. We also make a lot of our stuff at home, like a homemade bread, buns, brownies, homemade cookies and stuff like that. All I make. I know the ingredients. I know the substances that I can use to, I don't want to use this kind of oil. Okay, then I'm going to use this instead, the different kinds of flours, yeast, and like stuff like that. And then for the supplement wise, immune spray, just because he was so prone to getting sick constantly, and we do that too. We have like our daily greens and stuff like that. That's my husband's thing. I don't really do it because I don't see much of a big difference for me anyways. But and then we do the cleanse and the replenish and stuff like that. But really it's just diet and staying on top of it. It's expensive, but I don't even want to say it's expensive because at this point it's just kind of something that we've budgeted into our life. So it's not really anything new. Like, we don't just like carry a basket of fruit. I mean, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. But like, we have like just different things. There's other things out there rather than, going through McDonald's, Burger King. Like, there's just things that you could do differently. Small changes make big improvements. That's something that I've learned along with all of this. We use Beekeeper Naturals.
Ooh.
We like them. Super clean. They don't make me feel sluggish because there for a while I was taking some stuff that was making me feel kind of like brain zappy.
Sure.
And like sluggish, like I had no energy. I didn't want to wake up. Like I was just like, I need to change it. Like there's something going on. Like, so, but now we're very content with our routines. Everybody's got a routine. Like my husband's routine in the morning, Easton's routine, his bath routine. We use the bar, the oil, the gel and stuff like that. And Easton's so good about it. He likes the squeezy part of the rosehip oil, so I will let him play with that. Like I'll close it and I'll rub it on his face and stuff, and he's so good about it. It's definitely become a routine. He'll take his washcloth and put it on the soap bar, and like it's just something that, and like another thing that I want to point out really quick is people thought that I was like taking away his childhood from him. Like he can't have this candy, he can't have this cupcake, he can't, and it's not like, yes, he cannot have that, but you know what, there's things that he can have because I know how to make gluten-free cupcakes, I know how to make dye-free cupcakes, like I know how to do those things. Yes, it took me a long time, and there's so many people that are like, Brooke, how do you have the time? It's like, this is my life. Like I literally think I was put on this planet to be one. I know for a fact I was meant to be his mother, but I was supposed to, like, one day I'm gonna have to teach his like wife, like, how this is how you're gonna have to do things, and he's gonna know how to do it. But it's just like I truly feel like that's what I was meant to be here for. So with all the changes and like everything that we do, and like people were like, that's crazy, you're taking his childhood from him. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm making his childhood possible, because without all these things,
yeah,
he wouldn't have a childhood, because he didn't. For almost 2 years, a year and a half, he did not have a childhood. He was miserable. So making these small changes, and like we can go out, we can be humans, like we can be a family for once. And it's like, yeah, it might seem like a lot, but once you start doing it day to day, every day, and making it a priority, it just becomes part of your life. Like, it doesn't slow me down. As a matter of fact, it makes me, I want to get up, like, I know, like, I have energy to do these things today. I have to do these things to keep my family up, alive, and healthy. Like, that
yeah.
just makes me, I don't know, makes me want to be a better person, knowing that I can fuel my family and myself with what we need.
Absolutely. It is very fulfilling. And when
Yep.
we are mothers, we instinctually are like our purpose is to nurture our families. And
Yep.
when we're able to do that, it makes us feel alive.
Yes.
And so that is, I love that you touched on both of these things that, that people are like, you're depriving your children. Um, people, people can just make their judgments,
Yeah.
and it's okay because they don't see behind the walls. They don't see the whole journey. They don't see that we're actually giving our children a childhood. And, I talk about this a lot, that missing out is actually like not showing up
Yep.
for what is right for you and your family. It is not about anything external. Missing out has nothing to do with what other people are doing. And being a very intentional family that, maybe brings your own cupcakes to a birthday party, how freaking cool is that we get to teach our
Yeah.
children what it is like to fit into our own bodies and coexist with a culture that maybe doesn't prioritize the same things, and that's okay.
Yes, for sure. It's
And
just every childhood and everybody's life looks different.
yes,
And even if, like, the first few pages aren't going to be the same for everybody, but like ours is obviously very, very different, but it doesn't mean it's any less than, what someone else's is.
so is Easton's skin completely clear today?
Yes.
Is it okay? I know that you share your pictures, but I always
Yeah.
just want to be really respectful and ask, is it okay if I share like his like
Yes.
before and after pictures attached to this episode in the show notes? Because
Yes.
it's
Please
so
do it, because
okay.
honestly, the pictures are what made me be like, okay, like, bye now. Like, I want my son to look like that. Because of like the dramatic change that I witnessed within myself. Like, I would want a mother or father in the same shoes as me to see those and be like, that's how I want to be. So that, yes, I love when you share his pictures, because like all the comments are like, wow, like, this is crazy. And like, even when I share on my personal pages, they're like, oh my God, Brooke. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy what, yes, a journey, but once you start prioritizing your health and figuring it out yourself, unfortunately, yourself, I have to highlight that, yourself, because that's what it literally takes sometimes to do it yourself. It's just life-changing. And like, I don't think I will ever shut up about it, because like, even though like when we welcome like our second baby, like, like everything like new, like another baby to love, like, yes, of course, of course, but like, I'm just going to implement the things that we do into his life as well.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it'll always be a part of me. Like, so like the
Well,
pictures and like everybody sharing everything, yes, I'm so for it, because that can honestly be like the deal breaker for someone.
well, and I love that you receive those comments that way because you should feel really proud. You saved your son.
Yeah. And like sometimes I'm like, holy shit. I did that. Like, and it made me, I had to look like a crazy person there for a while. Like, but you know what? I wouldn't want it any other way. like, of course, I would never want him to go through this journey to begin with, but you can't change things that are meant for you. And it is crazy. It's a crazy story, but.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. And I loved hearing what you guys do now because, kind of like I said, my family, like I'm kind of like a really extreme person naturally. And it's not very relatable to a lot of people. And your take on like maintaining balance is probably a lot more like people can grasp that.
Yeah, a little bit more like normalized.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And I guess the bigger message is that everybody is different. So when you ask, am I going to have to do this forever? I'm going to have to avoid this forever. I don't know. Like your journey will tell you. And that's beautiful. And I love that you have figured out exactly
what works for us
and what works for you. Yeah. Brooke, thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you for having me. I loved sharing. It's just nice to talk about it sometimes, to people who understand or who are going through it or who will one day be where I am, because it's very possible.
Yeah. If you are in the thick of this right now, you will heal just like my son and me and Brooke's son and Brooke.
Yes.
And Brooke, is it okay if I put your Instagram in the show notes?
Yes.
Because community is so powerful. So if there is a mama, if you are listening and you are really struggling, you are in the thick of it, both of us, we invite you to connect with us because you are absolutely not alone. So I'll connect Brooke's Instagram. You can send her a DM and connect with her. And as always, I'm available both on DMs and the Gutsy Woman community is a really beautiful place to come.
Yes, definitely take advantage of that because it helped me.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Brooke.
Yes, of course.
Thank you for joining me in today's episode of Follow Your Gut. If we don't know each other, I'm Juniper Bennett. I'm the founder and CEO of ōnlē Organics, a supplement and education brand focused on women and children's gut health. I will have all the resources mentioned in today's episode linked in the show notes for you. I would love to connect with you. You can find me on Instagram at ōnlē Organics. That's ōnlē And make sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Lastly, it's important for you to know that the information shared on this podcast is based on my personal experiences and research. Please always trust your own inner voice of wisdom and your healthcare professional. Until next time.